Welcome to Sipping on Words, a coffee house poetry reading. On behalf of the Writers' Colony at Derry Hollow, I'd like to thank all of you for joining us tonight. And I'd also like to thank the Eureka Springs Arts Council, the Eureka Springs CAPC for sponsoring this event, and the Eureka Springs Festival of the Arts. It's my great honor to present three accomplished and talented poets tonight. Prudence Arceneaux, Susanna Childress, and Islaya Osiris. So without further ado, let's get started, and I'd like to introduce our first reader this evening. Prudence Arceneaux is a native Texan and a poet who teaches English and creative writing at Austin Community College in Austin, Texas. Her work has appeared in various journals including Limestone, New Texas, Hazmat Review, Texas Observer, Whiskey Island Magazine, African Voices, and Inkwell. She's the author of 2 chapbooks of poetry, Dirt, awarded the 2018 Jean Pedrick Prize, and Liberty. Please join me in giving a warm Eureka Springs welcome to Prudence Arceneaux.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. It's been a while since I've had the opportunity to do a reading, and I've missed faces, so I'm really, I'm making eye contact because I miss people's faces. So, I'm going to read some stuff. I'm going to read some stuff. I'm going to start with a piece that I wrote for a class that I took, because I think that learning is a continual process, right? Like, it's something that we're doing all the time, every day, so I'm always signing up for classes. And the assignment we had to do was to investigate who we were. I'm getting close.
Yes, get closer, please.
I'm trying.
There.
I don't want to kiss. And the assignment was to dig into who we were. And so it was really easy to try and create a family tree, but I realized that there was more to who I am than just the branches on the tree. So it's loosely entitled, I Am From. I am from gamblers and farmers, all workers for the Department of Wishful Thinking. I am from pools who wait where the Trinity crosses the Lord, for the waters to rise, to clean the land, to start anew, to begin again and again. I'm from white black men in chinos and fedoras, from women in thin dresses, holding children in their hands like green beans in baskets in their sunned arms. I'm from Big Boy and Eureka, from Banks and Greeley, from family with an Uncle Sostan, and an Uncle Black who wasn't. I'm from Roxy and Fanny, from Vesta and Josephine. I'm from Sugardoll, Pally Valley, Titta, and Tamp. I'm from people who rename things like Adam reporting for his second day of work. I'm from heavy brows and long braids, from red hair and weak eyes. I'm from long braids and woven blankets, from high foreheads and steady hands. I'm from the click of dominoes, of the dust of chicken coops, from the cut of corn stalks and the sweet smell of pigsties. I'm from the swamplands, from air you must swallow. I'm from scarred sky and fat clouds, from water and blood and mud. I'm from land that fed them, that killed them, that kills us, me, and any who will come for me. I'm from broken promises, really made to be. Like the tease of a storm on the horizon of a land long cracked and peeling, I am a reminder of what was not. I was trying to think if I had any poems that would go with like the grinding. So I'm not known for writing love poems, but I felt like I should share one with you. A friend of mine is a country singer in Austin, Texas, and I was listening to his song, Crazy Love, and this idea came to me. It's entitled, Listening to Roger Wallace's Crazy Love. Each summer, 500 million 3-inch worms blackhead the pores of glacial faces. Scientists don't understand it. but don't call it crazy. Fascinating, scintillating, that's what you are. Worthy of study. But you've had the narrative all wrong. The main character, man or woman or water bear, just dies. No cancer, no tragic falls, no consumption, no rickets, not drunk, just stops being. And no one cares. At the corner of 41 degrees, 43 minutes, 32 seconds, and 49 degrees, 56 minutes, 49 seconds, there's a room of velvet, brocade and satin, bespoke in liquid black, symphony full, bodies, strings, organs, a cellist forearm in lunar tempo. No need to change the history. Of course they played while the ship dervished to the floor. If you were about to be re-wombed in cold anion, wouldn't you want your last thoughts to be of the first time you realized you could please yourself with concentration, practice, and the movement of pressured fingers? Why does it have to be crazy? What if your blood is supposed to be blue? What if the connection between bone and tendon is supposed to be broken, bones dissolved, besotted, malunion? What if sound only travels through a rictus of agonies? What if, just what if, you aren't supposed to come up for air? So obviously I've been thinking about weather. I got here and it just rained. And it kept raining and it was cold. And I was just telling someone that I came from 95 degrees in sunshine, like just taking everything out of you. And it's what I'm used to. It's what feels comfortable. So being here in the moistness, I felt heavy. I felt like there was something that was kind of covering me. But I realized that I've made these shifts in temperament and temperature throughout my life. And now that Texas is becoming drier, I find myself thinking more and more about the nature of rain and of moisture. This one's entitled Human Geography. We are stretched across borders, parched, we gape for each other. What words we remember are lost in the static of the air. What we have forgotten is weather. I am cracked and weighted. We search for song, for water to rise and drown, but are borne down by the weight. We hope you recover your voice, but droughted, we don't even know clouds, though they hang above us. We can only point into their blank bellies, like cavern tapping into the smooth black above the blue, mouths open. I know they hold no relief. Yet somehow, yesterday, we did remember wind. Devils and tumbles hugged us and spun us so. The black above and the wordless within are only as important as the skin we hold softly to our bones. So I have to read a poem about my dad because, well, everything about me is my dad. My walk, my stance, the way I interact with people, like I am Dad's girl. And he very much loved gardening and had 2 daughters, neither of whom had any ability or desire, and was quite often disappointed by us. But I always wanted him to know that I did hear what he had to say. This poem's entitled Dirt. I'm not a gardener, grubber of plants, shifter of soil. My nails clean. I stopped kneeling years before I reached this age. If you ask, I can tell a food seed from a pretty one. Clarify that tomato is fruit. Tell you when the red hibiscus sits crushed in your hand, it smells of blood. A hammerhead worm tosses its head wetly when cut with a spade. A crooked row means death for someone. Shit produces the best foundation. A tree can live around the rot at its base, but dies in the beauty of mistletoe. Poison grass returns as weeds, mutates to flowers. And blue morning glories will cover your garden. Beautiful, but chokes your roses. All this I learned on my knees from my father, my teacher. beer in one hand, the other browner and dirt. That the dog will follow and proof your work. That here, the frost will come back and kill your grapes, no matter what. That squirrels stockpile, even when there is no need. I realize I don't have my watch, so I'm not keeping track of, so, you know, like periphery, something like that, I'm good with that. Because we've all been trapped at home, I've been watching lots of television. And as an insomniac, I watch kind of whatever's on. If it falls on my channel, then it stays there. And it's been PBS lately. Lots of nature channels. And when I'm not looking at the TV, then I'm kind of following things online. And everyone is just insane about Attenborough and the nature shows. And they love him. And they think he's the best voice ever. And I'm not sure I agree with that. This is entitled Nature Show. The Lord offers explanation. Sir Attenborough believes what he says when announcing that the wheelless tides are the fastest shifting on the planet. But I can't help thinking what the hell is wrong with him. Apparently, he's never studied the precipice of black adolescence, the phenomenon in time lapse, the male of the species, deliquescing from cute to convict, the female, how pretty ebbs, prey flows. The good Lord, Seminario, establishes half tides, like we aren't all half given to the ass whooping the moon gives the earth. You better believe that's what happens, and no amount of foot in the back gurgling can control this bulge. Our brain fluid has little hold. The full tides of our hearts, even less. What we are studying, anthro-apologizing, is deeper than the Mariana Trench, wider than the Cassini Gap. But he wouldn't know that since he isn't concerned with black space. BBC One needs to observe, and a human blind, set up midnight cameras, see a system tidally locked in hate. Police camera traps catch the vortices created as brown skin pushes against armor, pulled to embrace by white arms. Forget about what you thought you knew. Armadillos transmitting leprosy, pluralizing octopuses to octopi, and no one is seeing $8 trillion stacked. Let's talk about a gravitational power that can make the Mississippi reverse its course, stop the supply of skins and furs. Imagine waking every day and not knowing if you were drowning, if you were sandbarred, if you were undertowed, if you were pipelined, underrolled. The production must be air-gapped, though. Reality is just another version of historical publication. We don't really need another old white man telling us the science of our sex, of our race. But maybe, if the voice has a British accent, you'll listen. You'll believe. I like the last clap over there. See what you're doing. See what you're doing. How do I phrase this? I was just talking about the cover of my chat book. Hold on 1 second. Entitled Dirt, the poem that I read earlier. The tree here is the tree that's next to the funeral home that my family goes to. My earliest memories are going to this funeral home, playing with my cousins there, but always being in that space. My family's just, we're riddled with cancer, so we're always there, and this is how we come together. When my dad died of cancer, it was an interesting thing to see myself as the family in grief and to be in that space and to recognize all of the ritual that we had around it and to have that ritual directed to me. This is entitled Where He Lies. I hear my father's tombstone is etched marble, white, like a monogrammed shirt. I wouldn't know. There was no stone when we walked away from that earth, wet at its edge, heat dancing drunk from the hole. The rental army had packed their tape recorder. The grave diggers, distant cousins, spit in the grass, made plans to make happy with cousins not us. The bastard priest shot for a ride back to the church hall. The poor, done with his work, looking for food. I haven't returned. My uncle tends the grave. He mows the grass around his father's grave, his sister's grave, his nephew's grave, his brother's grave, his nephew's grave, his mother's grave, his sister's grave, his nephew's grave, his brother's grave. He is in death's employ. In our family, he will never be without a job. I'm glad he does it. In overalls, brogans, baseball cap, hidden in the pine and cypress, the hum of the mower, harmonies, mosquitoes, and frogs. He reports to my mother. My sister and I pay him in silence. I'm glad he does it. If death fired him and hired me, I'd cover it all in pitch and burn us right out of the ground. Sad report, that uncle is dead now. I have no idea who was like mowing the grass. I imagine like all of those gravestones have been like overrun by the flock, which I think is the way it should be. Like everything returning to nature, but I don't know who's doing it now. All right, so I'm gonna give you a heads up. I feel like it's just safer. I'm gonna drop the N-word. Twice. Just so you know. All right. I don't know how you all felt in the summer of 2020. It's a little traumatic. Being locked in a house and then having all this news information coming in. And my mother had just moved from Houston to Austin to live with me, and I didn't realize that my mother had the TV on 24/7 on CNN. So even when I was sleeping, that stuff was coming into my head. When someone decides your black life doesn't matter, you wait to the news of another man murdered. The reports say there are 2 contagions we battle. Is it simple contagion if it's been in the blood so long? It's been pandemic for years. We need a new word. You try to shuck the fear of plague you carry. Every human you pass adds a small thing. A pea here, a root there, melon heavy, and only your people seem able to find its ripeness. You watch as skins are slopped for hogs, composted before it became gentrified, before anyone asked how the soil became so fertile. Home is colored glass, assumption. The weight of each person's singularity shatters its light. The mosquito bites get to you, the small injections of hate, how your skin quivers when you slap it, beat it, cover it with your own blood. The numbness overrides, and the welts of years rise on your flesh, swollen, throbbing. What did your grandmother say would soothe this itch? Your mother asks which town has the sign that reminds niggers to be gone by dark. Your hubris says because you are not a nigger, you could stay overnight. You list Jasper, Kuntz, Vider, Silsby, Pine Forest. She interrupts in a voice that ghost echoes. You are wrong, wrong, wrong. You remind her specificity doesn't matter. Schools don't teach which tools are better to pierce the skin. Knife, rod, adze, or which tool best removes head from body. Rope, chain, axe. As if you were vampires. Submerge the bodies in the holy river waters of the Trinity. Do you sink? Do you rise? You know this is a poem for your impending death. A poem for those prepared the way for you. This poem is an anagram. Let them find their names. I'm on time. Okay, I think you're just saying that. Yeah.
I don't really know.
Let's do this one. So in the midst of all the CNN news, I have to admit to you all, I have anxiety, pretty high anxiety. So my brain was kind of layered with fear, and I kept thinking, run, run? Like, how do you get out? Where do you go to? But I had my mom with me. So like I always felt like I could get away if I needed to, but like she couldn't get away with me. So I started thinking about how to pack for this journey. And this poem is entitled Dust Boy. So for those of you who don't know, when someone comes to a crime scene and they're looking to see like if somebody was planning this, if it was premeditated, they look for gaps in the dust about the size of a bag or a suitcase, and that's a dust boy that they're looking for. Dust boy. 3 pairs of underwear, 5 pairs of socks, can opener. Other states don't want Texans. Other countries don't want Americans. Who wants black people? Ultra-thin jacket, crank radio, work gloves, passport. Your mother moved in last May. You've been packed for years. You don't tell her. Don't want her mouse-like. She sleep screams when fear vacations with her. 2 toothbrushes, first aid kit, water bottle, pepper spray. You bought rain ponchos the day after they murdered Breonna Taylor. Debit cards, map of Texas, meds, wax pencil. The persistent season in your gut belches warnings this will happen at night. You don't close your eyes until the sky is watercolored some lighter shade of awareness. A comb, granola bars, toothpaste, make it 2, matches. The law says throw away a driver's license when it expires. You have 4. Put 1 in your bra, 1 on your sole and your sock, 1 in your underwear, in case someone tries to remove who you are. Rice, water purification tablets, 2 pairs of jeans, ammo. You want to ask her to pack. The rusted rigor of your sleep is soundtracked with wet belts on her soft neck, the knock of her temple on concrete, the repeated gurgle of her throat blocked by her own breath. Space blanket, hat, book of edible plants, knife. When Dad died, she cleansed the house of him. Seed and hammer, suits and shoes, ashtrays and beer cans. He kept his pocket knife. Lots of condoms, gun, rubber bands, jerky. She'll sugar it when it happens, suddenly concerned with the provenance of a shoehorn, rubber ducky, glass pitcher, plastic hanger. It won't be the last time you wonder how you'll live and how you'll both die. 4 gold coins, watch, tea, magnet. You are prepared to barter with your body. 2 black t-shirts, beans, flashlight, rope, mirror. She doesn't sense the way the air pants. You ask her to strengthen arms, legs, 75 years of knowledge heavy in her bosom. At least your cane can be a weapon. Glow sticks, oatmeal, sunscreen, glasses. You know you will forget your glasses. You can't see, you won't look. It will be your history if anyone hears it, that you couldn't see your salvation right in front of you. Salt, lighter, compass, black sweatshirt, soap. Humans can live for a week without food. Humans can live for 3 days without water. How long can a human sustain on fear? I can do 1 more. I'm trying to find something happy. Nothing happy. That was me. Okay, this one's perfect. My mother will very much hate that I'm reading poems about her, even though I write them. And she asked for years, for decades, like, where are my poems? You always write about your dad. Now I'm writing, and she's like, why do I have to die? It happens that way. My mother, who is losing her hearing, has discovered horror movie marathons. The herds of screams and screwdriver bone scraping solicit her knock on my eardrums while I sleep. I wake panting. Her laughter plays hide and seek from the other room. She's annoyed every time the black people die, but the math works out. There's no last girls club for anyone darker than Sherman Williams' bungalow beige. Because there's always a new girl with a bludgeon to penetrate to participate. For every small-breasted, tan-skinned girl who fades gurgling, pulse throbbing at the well-oiled neck, 2 white girls get to live another 35 minutes. For every blue-black, wide-eyed man chained, sawed, a redhead makes it to the last 10 minutes of the movie. And every time the witch's voodoo brain wrapped in purple silken scarf, bejeweled fingers waving, fractured catwalk, some brown kid is shotgunned while running. Net keepsake to a bumper like tailgate trophies.
I'll take advantage of that.
Mom wants to know why I won't watch with her. Before I leave for the weekly trip to the store, eggs, butter, tamales, nuts, she hugs me. Both hands reaching up my back to shoulder blades, jutting like lean stumps. Says she loves me. If I close my eyes, I see a yellow ribbon-bound victory plot with protons and shrimp plants. I can't bandwagon in the joyous why the teen wolf isn't snuffle-snout into innards. I'm wondering why there isn't a movie where the black kids say no to the party. Gather instead on the east wall of the cafeteria. Not because they were put there, but because they got smarter. Tried to keep the dumber ones from going into that truck. No one wants to go camping. The nightly news reports the Nightmare on Elm Street house is for sale. The new builds on my block look a little different. Each night the drive is down this dark road. Ghosts of poor standard, goat dirts, cow eyelashes. I should be smarter than even having this craving to circumnavigate it by the unpolluted sky. But there are no other directions for me. The key grip is turned away. Roll credits. The end. Goodbye.
Thank you, Prudence. That was almost. Give her one more round of applause. All right. Next up, I have Susanna Childress. She's an associate professor of English at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. She received her PhD in English Creative Writing from Florida State University, her MA in English Creative Writing from the University of Texas at Austin, and graduated summa cum laude from Indiana Wesleyan University with a BA in both English Literature and English Writing. Susanna specializes in literary writing across genres, specifically modern and contemporary poetry, the short story and linked story collections, lyric essays, podcast writing, mixed genre work, and environmental writing. She's the author of 2 prize-winning collections of poetry, Entering the House of Awe and Jagged with Love, and has published many essays, poems, and short stories in a broad range of journals. She has served as an editor for publications ranging from the literary journal 32 Poems to the Reformed Church of America's magazine Perspectives. Her research interests include women writers, the role of writing in social justice and activism, and contemporary Native American literature. Please join me in welcoming Susanna Childress.
Oh, Susanna.
I'm going to make myself seem a lot younger than I am by reading from my laptop. I want to say thanks to Michelle for setting up this reading. Thanks to Eureka Springs Coffee House for letting us be here. Thanks to the Writers Colony at Dairy Hollow for having me all the way from Holland, Michigan, and keeping it cooler here for my second week than it was back home. I know you were promised poems, and my first and the first and third acts of tonight are going to deliver, but I'm going to deviate. I'm going to read an essay that I have been working on. I promise, I'm hopeful that there are parts you'll find poetic. And it is a braided essay, also known as a lyric essay. So there are 3 parts, 3 sort of elements that I'm weaving back and forth together. This is just the beginning of the essay, so I'm introducing different elements in this excerpt that I'll read you. It's titled Age Appropriate. One thing that you should know is that I don't use names, I use initials for the people who are in here, because it's nonfiction, and they're real people. Age appropriate. My sons know I had a baby in my tummy, and then, after a surprise trip to the hospital during a blizzard, I didn't. They know the baby died. They call this baby by the name we have chosen, Jericho. They know it happened again, a second time, though that baby was no bigger than a strawberry. That baby didn't get a little yellow hat of yarn or held in her arms or pictures taken. That baby wasn't a boy or a girl, only a strawberry who slipped away in the summertime. So we named it Tiernan, which is a boy and a girl's name at the same time. My son stands in my closet, stripped down to nothing, piling up oversized pillows to reach for my clothes. He pulls the orange sleeve of a blouse until it pops off a hanger, then a billowing dress of brown silk. He discards them both on the floor. Son, I say, what is happening here? Mama, he asks, do you have anything for a fairy queen? He is 4. His naked body, all vine and melon, a shimmering of knees, lobes, belly, knuckles, things he doesn't yet know how to dream. I have no idea where he's come by this phrase or what he imagines a fairy queen might wear, but I gamely paw through the options. When I turn around, my son has found a plastic hospital bag I buried in the back of a closet, and in a foggy, slow-motion sort of stupor, I watch him pull out the small purple sateen box that holds his dead brother's footprints, certificate of death, the only photographs we have of him. He shakes the box, and it offers the secretive huck of its contents, shifting back and forth. He touches the purple ribbon holding tight the box's top. I can see he wants to untie it, his fingers twitching towards the ends of the bow, but something stops him. He looks at me. What is this? He asks, and then, when I fail to answer, asks again, what is this? Outside my sister's home in Adete, Togo, on the cement portico where they leave ends, bats, and balls, the ground is littered with thin green petals. No, my sister says, termite wings. They've taken to the foundation. In West Africa, as in much of the world, termites feast on human structures. What is proportion? What is purveyance? The cost of inhabiting this shared earth. My son loves looking at my sister's Facebook page. It's full of photographs and videos of his cousin and the home where they live and the hikes they take half a world away. We look up termites in West Africa. We look up termite mounds. We look up termite damage. I like bugs, my son says. Just not the kinds that sting things, or bite things, or eat things, or crawl all over things. He pauses. That's maybe all of them. Then he leaps from my lap. Let's read. And so we do. The kids' book of West African bugs my sister sent for Christmas, each small square page glossy with a high detail photograph of an insect and a pithy little sentence. Some bugs are fancy. Some bugs are feathery. Some bugs are plain. The year we lose Jericho, so many things seem to shatter all at once, not just my body's betrayal to 2 babies or theirs to mine, but also my husband's work and emotional health, my father's kidneys during a trip to Togo, the outbreak of Ebola in West Africa, the deaths of Michael Brown, Eric Garner, Tamir Rice, among others. By the end, I truly don't know what's appropriate to tell my 4-year-old and what to save from him. Or is it save him from? That troubling line in parenting. You want to save, but you can't. At the very least, you're responsible for keeping them alive, and at the very most, thriving on all levels. It's tempting to let yourself be confused about this at every turn. One day, standing between the class turtles in the coat room, I broached the subject of death with my son's preschool teacher. How might I help my son understand? Untimely, senseless, at large, if not untimely, senseless, up close, death, feels unsuitable for conversations with my son, as though I'm trying to fit these huge, unwieldy objects, a life-size ceramic rhino, say, in quaint, ridiculously dainty packages, like a handful of jewelry boxes. His teacher blinks at me from behind her glasses. She hugs me. She sends me home with a photocopied packet. Instead of "Grandpa is sleeping" or "Don't cry, you'll see Grandpa again one day," the packet says we should aim to be as literal and straightforward as possible. Grandpa's body stopped working, which is what caused him to die, and Grandpa's not coming back, and it's okay to cry, we all miss him. Lots of assurance and follow-up and safe touch and good sleep and freedom to question. There's a paragraph on funerals and another on the loss of pets. I'm grateful for the packet. And yet, grandpas and goldfish aren't exactly going to help me with a baby brother who died in utero, or Ebola, or black men shot in the back by law enforcement. As much as I appreciate the clarity of these pages, the advice feels breezy. I type "what to tell a child" into a search engine, and then I add police brutality, joblessness, stillborn, depression, communicable disease. Most sites have a helpful suggestion or two, chief among them age-appropriate words, ideas, and images. Of course, one might think. Certainly. Duh, one might be inclined to say. I agree with the use of age-appropriate language and visuals. I'm all for not demonstrably terrifying the children. But what age-appropriate means, how it's interpreted, the intrinsic seepage of parenting style and political ideals and religious belief makes all the murkier how and what and when I choose to say what I need to say to my sons. Two white boys from a Protestant family in a small Midwestern North American town. Before Ebola, my sister and her husband's chief concern is cancer. Togo does not have any oncologists. Another chief concern, premature labor, and twins, all manner of twins, which in West Africa is as typical as singletons elsewhere. In Adete, as in much of the world, the travel and costs are prohibitive, such that patients only come to the hospital. Its catchment area is 500,000 people, with the most dire, the most deadly of ailments. My sister and her husband have reckoned with the implacable. They are not saviors. On top of their shifts, they train and equip the many hardworking, adept Togolese nurses and midwives and medical technicians. The point is to work themselves out of a job. But many of their patients, most of them, will not survive. No children's book exists for this, of course. No high-detailed, glossy photos of the ones who, if they lived where my sons and I live, might have survived. But even this is not altogether true. How exactly do I tell my sons about why? My black colleague, 35 years old, who died in childbirth. It was such a shock that anyone could still die in childbirth, let alone someone I knew. Someone who sang "Hey-yo" down the hall to me, and sometimes just sang, whose belly she'd let me touch, whose attire and easy manner as a pregnant woman in the workplace I took cues from, whose way of calling her students scholars made me reevaluate myself, both in and outside the classroom. I was an adjunct then. Why didn't have to be kind to or interested in me. Her death made no sense at all. But then there we were, gathered in a small stone church, her famous uncle delivering the eulogy, the muffled nose blowing, the hand on my shoulder, the bright green plugs of broccoli I put on my plate but couldn't eat. That frigid semester, I'd walked around campus with my coat unzipped, my mind askew. Wise baby thrived, came home from the NICU, but I hated going to the third floor, where the closed door of her office was covered with notes from her students, the hallways hushed where she should have been joking, cackling, humming as she introduced me to her baby boy. If I could see her son's face, I'm sure I'd remember more of her expressions. But her son has disappeared too, to live in another city with his grandmother. What remains is that what I first understood about her death was a sanitized version, what some might call the white comfort version. The more I learn of what happened to her, the more horrifying it becomes. So where does this story start for my sons? How much do I say? Where does it end? One day, as we're talking about preemies, I'm suddenly also talking about why. When she died, I say, I was told it was from a blood vessel bursting in her brain, which is true. But it wasn't the whole story, I say. She was hurting before that happened. She had preeclampsia, which is when your heart is pumping too much blood and the little tubes that carry the blood get too small. Why, Mama? My son asks, and I can tell from the way he balls his hand into a fist and squeezes, he's thinking about hearts, their pumping and priming, their solemn, constant work. Well, I say, sometimes that happens when a person is pregnant. You know my cousin P? Same thing. She had to have her baby early, and they were both okay. Only with Y, the people who were supposed to didn't help her fast enough. She waited a really, really, really long time in the hospital. She needed to be better monitored, to get more or different medicine. Why, Mama? Because preeclampsia is dangerous, very. Only with Y, they didn't listen to her until it was too late. That, I say, is the reason the blood vessel burst in her brain. Do I stop there? Touch him, reassure him, his forearms warm beneath my fingers. You don't need to be scared, I say. I was okay when I had you. Aunt L, Aunt S, Aunt E. Most of your friends' mamas, they're all right. I say, hardly any mamas die from having babies anymore. Which isn't the whole truth, which would make it, partially, a lie. I swallow. I say, hardly any white mamas. Y was a black mama. In the United States, for every white mama that dies from having a baby, 3 black mamas die. Sometimes, in some states, it's 5 black mamas. Y may be the only one we know of, but she's not the only one. Is that too far? Do I stop there? Where even is there to stop? I pull my son closer. He pats my face, plays with my earrings, presses my fleshy earlobes between his fingers. So it's tough, I continue, to believe a hospital let a black mama die when they didn't listen to how much pain she was in or realize she was acting strange because she was so sick. Y's baby lived, but she died, and that's so awful to think about, what it would mean if nurses or doctors saw her skin color and thought she was just exaggerating or being silly. My son stills his fidgeting. He's a kid who tends to exaggerate. He likes being silly. So I go on. We, white people, ignore it. We pretend nothing could have helped Y. It's like we want to believe a lie to make us feel better, and that's wrong. I stop there. I'm sure my son has more questions, but I don't want him to see me shaking. So I kiss him once, quick, and I leave the room. How long had it taken me to stop ignoring, pretending, wanting to believe a lie? Some bugs are fancy. Some bugs are feathery. Some bugs are plain.
Thank you, Susanna, for sharing. That was amazing. Our final reader tonight is Islaya Osiris. She's a non-binary, multifaceted artist who currently lives in Fayetteville. Best known for their wit that can turn pain into poetry, they self-published Static, Between the Layers, on December 25th, 2020. Static is 1/3 poetry and 2/3 self-advocacy, with journal and art prompts, followed by mantras to help with shadow work. Sounds cool, right? The pieces will make you cry, laugh, and question, embracing the complexity that is existence. Islaya captures imaginations and encourages curiosity. Having been to 17 countries and counting, they feel most comfortable in a new place where they can explore without being noticed. Finding abundant inspiration in the mundane and beauty in plain sight, let's give a warm welcome to Islaya Osiris.
I'm gonna switch out the mic because I'm a tiny bit of a germaphobe, so.
Do it. Do it.
Thank you for understanding. Young white will travel.
Say what?
Young white will travel.
It's true, exactly. Travel everywhere. Let's go. You wanna go? Okay. So, hi. My pronouns are they, them, by the way. Before I begin reading this, my stuff becomes a bit heavy. I like to do a grounding exercise. So I welcome you to join me in a 3 deep breath meditation. Put your feet flat on the floor. And if at any point you are uncomfortable, please stop doing it. Listen to your boundaries. Trust yourself. You know yourself a lot better than I do. Put your right hand on your chest, left hand on the lowest part of your belly, and close your eyes. And breathe in through your nose. And when we breathe out, we're going to make a whoosh noise. Breathe out. Like that. Good job. Breathe in. Unclench your jaw. And breathe out. Yeah. One more time. Breathe in. Drop your shoulders from your ears. And breathe out. Very good. Thank you so much for doing that with me. Open your eyes if you haven't already. Also, because I do have the prompts and mantras after each poem, I will be reading them out loud, just to help create some thoughts. Tell me a story. Tell me a story. Tell me a love story about 2 souls meeting in a field of sparks. They would dance in the rain. They were made of metal and wax. Rust would set them on fire as they saw railroad ties into the earth, tattooing a beat in the trees. Frogs would chirp a chorus as silent as the stars shine, like bullet holes in the sky. That's how we breathe, between the lines of connecting constellations. We tell ourselves stories because we have to. Don't forget to inhale. Make smoke signals, join the circle, break the pattern, scream until you are seen, whisper until you are heard. We tell ourselves stories because we have to. Tell me a tragedy. Love? Love is just an addiction. Everything is just chemical reactions. You have to choose life to live. We tell ourselves stories because we have to. Tell me something I won't believe. One day you'll feel safe. It's just a numbers game. You have to live long enough. Da-da. Believe it now. Don't forget to exhale. Now tell me the truth. You're getting better, but you're afraid that if you're finally able to let go of the pain, the wrongdoings done to you, the cage, then you'll be empty, like echoes from the center of the ripples bouncing off cave walls. My world has shattered so many times. I'm picking the pieces for the best ones, the most jagged ones, the shiny ones I want to taste like honeysuckle secrets. We tell ourselves stories because we have to. Love is not enough. Bringing the water to the horse won't make it ask questions. They aren't taking if you're giving. It's not brave if it's surviving. We tell ourselves stories because we have to. Make it an interesting one. So here's a journal prompt. Is a story you're telling yourself a good one? And of course the art prompt is tell me a story, however you want to, maybe crushed up leaves. It's a good time. I'm going to read the mantras 3 times. I welcome you to repeat them if you feel comfortable. I allow myself to be happy. I allow myself to be happy. I allow myself to be happy. Yes! afterthought. Not worth wasting paper, empty words with meaningless meanings, smothering noises. Drum beats are the only way to get me out of my own head, make me not hear myself. Drum bass, heartbeats, heartbreak. What's love anyway? Nothing worth writing about. Speaking silence into the wind and standing center stage with all the lights up, I have become acquainted with my anger and am now best friends holding hands with violence. Some of my most favorite pastimes. Throw yourself, head first, your neck snap completely. Let me feel these horrid feelings, so that I'm not afraid to look ugly in front of people, and that's mainly a crowd consisting of myself. Close your eyes and bleed, little punk. Do you feel lucky as my 6-inch heel pierces your eye, and woman, hear me roar? Twisting labyrinths, forever spinning in deep spirals, never ending, lost in chain, link after link, added. Delicious bruises on your wrist with a sigh of disappointment taste so good. Tattered edges unraveling to reveal the sands of time, passing through the hourglass that is super glued to the table. Try to turn it over with all your strength, straining to startle yourself into living. In what moments do you feel primal? And then trace your hand. Here's the mantra. I give myself the compassion and kindness I need. I give myself the compassion and kindness I need. I give myself the compassion and kindness I need. This one's a little bit heavier. Mayday in a time of COVID-19. Hello, my name is Wage Slave, mistaken for hero. This ill-fitting bandana wrapped below cheekbones does not hide a smile. I am wincing as you get too close. You think you're special, that your skin color, your bank account keeps you safe like it has done all of your life. Death does not discriminate. Here in the great America, CEOs are getting bonuses while essential workers are lined up front, disposable at minimum wage, propaganda preached like scripture, collective bargaining versus scam. Hello. I'll be your cashier today. I'm told to be brave, face the customer, accept money from cocked in hands. Don't cover your face, they whisper from above. That's rude, they say. Don't sit, makes you look lazy. They announce with a smile. I can see them struggle, restraining themselves from patting on my head like a good, obedient puppy. I've been on my feet for 12 hours. I tried to explain. I'm spat upon as the irate customer in a red baseball cap with 8 extra giant jumbo things of toilet paper pushes 2-year past expired coupons into my palm, ripping my glove. That was the last pair my size. We've now moved on to one size fits most, but fits no one well. My dainty lady fingers are swimming in latex. I resist the urge to throw up my birds of glory to the jeering crowd, but then I remember that I need a cat food. I see another customer shoving back a cart of someone who has stepped outside their tapes marked on the floor box out of the corner of my eye as I bite the inside of my cheek, forcing a smile that hasn't been real in months. I can taste blood. I want to scream obscenities to the heavens, but then I remember that I haven't gotten child support for this month, or last month, or really, I can't remember since when. Forever had an expiration date, shorter than the milk turning in the fridge. But it doesn't take that long to make a miracle when I've been told I'm a failure all my life just for existing. Born in sin, into sin, out of sin. How do we get out, God? Are you listening? Have you ever? They're opening up restaurants and churches and protests where haircuts are broadcast. It's so few, but they are so loud. And they have very big guns. How small they must feel. Hello, my name is Officer. I'm scared too. Spotted someone with a backpack walking and I consider not following, but I'm kind of bored. There's quota to me, plus there's no way I won't win. I stumble out of my reinforced SUV, tug at my tackle belt, wonder will they bolt. Hood up, bag of candy in pocket, official claim says mistaken for gun. Ice squeeze paired with trigger, hand seen embraced in prayer on folded knees. I can't breathe. Help me, Mom. This is how well this system works. How deep the roots of shame twisted around spines, unable to acknowledge the scars so abundant there's no difference between it and skin at this point. We are all hurting. I wish you could see your tears because you are beautiful when you're that vulnerable. Stop pretending like we're so different. We have roots in Africa. All this toxicity has talents in capitalism. The system is doing exactly what it was built to do in its fragmented way. So where do we start? Starved and begging for scraps like beaten dogs, shoved into cages of debt, keeping us fighting, feeding us gunpowder in the form of fear-mongering. What does the fox say? Hiding behind Bibles, touting torture devices as humble nooses and 20-foot carat and platinum on sale for Mother's Day. Here's the thing. If we stop long enough to talk, instead of just react, long enough to live our lives instead of just survive, treated our future like we were going to be there too, instead of just keeping them alive long enough to shove us into nursing homes, believing the story of being worthless, the moment we can no longer produce. As if work is the meaning to life, making a rich man richer as he plays war like a game of chess with lies that are pixels on a screen, ones and zeros, dots and dashes. As if the moment we are just stories and warnings to be ignored, we have no more purpose, medicated to incompetence, shoved into corners with blankets on our laps. They will us to pause long enough, to hold, to create, to reflect. This current way of life doesn't make sense. Cognitive dissonance makes such a comfy bedfellow. Isn't it convenient that my gods hate everyone I hate and looks just like me? I now have a pretty solution to offer. Something that fits in 140 characters or less. I do know that it doesn't have to be this way, and you just have to start somewhere. Is it just then? Describe a traumatic event that has been a gift in disguise. Draw a box with a monster in it. I see beauty and love in every situation. I see beauty and love in every situation. I see beauty and love in every situation. Love you. Would it be okay if I loved you? You take my breath away, which isn't so great for a performing poet, but I'm okay with it. When you kiss me, my toes point to the ground, the place I'm falling up from. My shoulders drop from attempting to block the noise of the world to my ribcage holding it all in. The boundaries of my skin searches yours as you bite down, trying to tear reality like an animal shaking life, growls escaping the prisons between teeth marks. Some days I have better dental records on my collarbone than your dentist does in their files. Thank you for adding accents. They make me feel pretty. Fingers tracing paths to be discovered, following stars and hoping that magnetic north hasn't moved too much to be inaccurate. It's not the destination, but the journey, right? Let's put windows in the rooms holding our insecurities. I'll help pick out the stained glass. let's not hate ourselves anymore because it's really not worth it. Maybe we have to know that loathing from within to recognize tenderness. Feel ice melting on bruised knuckles to appreciate caresses. Giving orders to sit still, be quiet. To be able to know when you're being listened to. Eyes glazed and overlooked to allow yourself to be seen. To finally be able to admit that this shit fucking hurts. There's no way around it. But it doesn't have to be taken like that. Fire creates fertile ground for new growth. Sometimes we have to let things burn. You make me see rainbows, escorting me to stomping puddles as you hold the umbrella, glasses fogging, your laughter bellowing like wind chimes in a storm. Let's dance in the tsunami. I promise to step on your toes. I trust that you'll catch me. I'll wear heels so you don't have to bend down quite so far. I have decided that I will not be afraid of admitting to this beginning. I shall not imagine the end. And when I do, I shall step up and divert. Let's get out and reflect. I won't anticipate the middle because maybe all we have is that, which is so much more than enough. More than I've ever hoped for. Maybe this doesn't have to be as temporary as a tattoo. I will hold on tightly to just today. My hands are only so big. I'd rather be exploring textures as you palm my face into a pillow. I smile, giggling, cackling even. Is that all you've got? You accept the challenge, seeing how many buttons and switches you can reach at once, making me gasp. You get tired of having to constantly tell me to breathe. You make it feel okay to exist with no expectations. I love you. Write a love poem to your ideal partner or partners. What is love to you right now? So this mantra is pretty long. I am worthy of love. I deserve love. I accept love. I am love. I am worthy of love. I deserve love. I accept love. I am love. I am worthy of love. I deserve love. I accept love. I am love. Thank you so much for saying the mantras with me. That makes my heart feel good.
Beautifully presented.
Thank you.
Thank you, Islaya. Let's give her one. Thank you again to Heather and Jeff and the Eureka Springs Coffee House for hosting us today. Thank you all of you for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed that beautiful, powerful poetry and prose, and thank you especially to our three writers. It was such an honor and a privilege to hear you and to have you share your work with us today. And if anybody is interested in more literary programming, visit thewriterscolony.org. You can sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss anything. We have regular workshops and readings and all kinds of literary events. And enjoy the rest of your long weekend. Have a good one. Thank you.